Gonna do that again? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Corner. Rich Estrella here. And no, that was another open from another show that we do earlier in the day. But anyways, welcome to the Sports Corner. Happy you joined us. Rich Estrella along with John Conti. Joining us today, we're very delighted to have Josh Moody. Josh Moody, a former World Series champion. Then decided to quit after he got his ring. Went to LSU, played for, I believe he played for Nick Saban, right, John? Played for Saban, and then went on to the NFL, and they had some fun there. But you know, one thing about Josh, John, is we see the open going on.
Yeah, there it is. That looks better. There we go.
Hey, today's guest,
Larry's having
Josh Moody.
Producer Larry's having a rough one. Larry, we think you're doing a great job, bud.
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. Anyways, Josh, how you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing wonderful, man. It's always a pleasure to be with you and John, and of course, miss you guys being not in Southern California anymore, but love to be on the show. I appreciate you guys having me. This is an awesome night, and I'm glad I could join y'all.
So let's figure out where you are, either in Louisiana, Georgia, Atlanta, or you're in Florida.
I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida right now?
I'm in South Florida right now. I thought it was a good place to go with COVID and the restrictions and
what restrictions?
But yeah, a lot of restrictions in a lot of the country. But I ended up being, I've got lots of family and friends down here as well. Played for the Marlins way back in the day and had some business partners here. So I've been here enjoying a lot of what we're trying to do business-wise. And then also, huge Marlins fan because I was able to play for the Marlins a long time ago and got some buddies on the Dolphins too. So I'm having a lot of fun being down here, and we're happy to be here for sure.
You know, Josh, it's got to be hard to root for the Marlins with those funky uniforms and those funky, flamingos out in center field. I never quite understood that. But in any regard, that team seems to be very well received by the city of Miami. No doubt about that.
It is. The general manager is a female that they just hired from the New York Yankees, and everybody's excited about the kind of, I guess, the way that they're trending. They've got a lot of young talent, great pitching staff, good players all around. I mean, you know how hard it is to win in Major League Baseball, especially when you go up against the big market teams. And and I guess when you look at some of the champions of the past, I mean, you see teams like the LA Dodgers, which are right in your guys' backyard, go up against Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and Tampa did it the hard way. They've got great pitching, a lot of good arms. I mean, everybody wins a different way. I know Bob Gibson's a big part of this show, and he understands baseball about as good as anybody. He follows it really close. But, Tampa Bay in a small market, it's very hard to compete against the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, and some of the Cubs, some of the big market teams. And it's very difficult. So the Marlins are always kind of up against the 8 ball when it comes to playing against some of the big market teams, but they've won a couple championships in the last, I guess, 25 years, and they're always looking to have good seasons, and they've got a lot of really good talent, a lot of good young Latin players as well. So it's fun to watch them.
Hey, one of the things that I want to point out to you, Josh, of course, Bob's not here. We gave him the night off, but Bob Gibson, he is our baseball guy. Bob was all over the San Diego Padres last year.
Yep.
You want to talk about a small market team? He was all over the Padres, and he's all over the Padres again this year. Again, look, no one's going to compete with the Dodgers in any sort of series, but the fact that some of these small market teams like the Padres, like the Marlins, are starting to get some talent and some recognition, I think that's really good for baseball because, like you said, it's very hard to play from so far behind in those smaller markets.
It really is, and them signing Tatis was huge, and you're gonna have to do it through the draft if you're a small market team for the most part, and that's in football it's the same way, in basketball it's the same way. It's like the Raptors, or in football it's like the Cleveland Browns. It's very tough to win. They have a great fan base, great following, but they don't get a whole lot of free agents, so they've got to do really well in the draft. When they landed Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, it gave them a real opportunity. In San Diego, when they got some of that young talent, it really gives them opportunity. It's just so hard to keep those guys because they see money, they see the lights, the bright lights of New York and LA, and so it's very hard to keep those guys. And that's why if they get to the World Series and they win a World Series, it's extra special for those teams because they're just not there in the mix as much over time, over history. They're just not. And so it's very difficult. It takes the right nucleus of guys, a lot of young talent, a lot of guys that come up through the draft and that make a real difference. And I think that's, what teams kind of rely on that are small market. You've got to do a great job with evaluating players pre-draft. And then they've got to do it in baseball so hard because you got the minor leagues, so they've got to come up through the system and develop these players that are 18, 19, 20, 21 when you draft them out of high school and college or what have you. So it is extra difficult for those guys to get there and then sustain a real run like the Yankees or Red Sox or Dodgers can do because of I guess they're playing against, up against the 8 ball with just losing free agents to big markets.
Now let's talk, to switch gears a little bit, Josh, but I want to ask you, because it is on everybody's mind, is all of a sudden this year there's a lot of established quarterbacks in the NFL that all want to make a change. I keep telling John, the majority of this I think is precipitated on the money that, Mahomes got. Mahomes got what? He ended up getting at one point, it's going to be $50 million a season. Everybody sees this money. They saw the money that Stafford got. Stafford's not doing anything. Now, I don't care if he's on Detroit, if he was on the Cleveland Browns. He's not going to help the Rams. I don't think he's going to move the needle on the Rams. But is this all these changes now? Is it because these guys are frustrated, or is it because they see the big dollars that are being meted out now and they want some of that?
Well, I think with like Stafford, I think it comes back to him wanting to win a world championship and giving himself the best chance to win and getting into the playoff picture and doing it maybe for the next 2 or 3, 4, 5 years and giving themselves the best chance possible. Yeah, Stafford's made a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money playing for the Rams. He's got more opportunities there off the field as well. And that's what a lot of the big markets teams or big markets kind of do for you as a player. I know there's not one player that I remember growing up that didn't want to play, in pinstripes for the Yankees. Or when I was playing football, it was like Dallas Cowboys. Look at what Dak just signed for this week. But a guy like Stafford, he thinks that really gives himself a better chance to win a Super Bowl. He's got a young coach. He's got a good defense. They've got a great defensive line and some of the best defensive players on the planet. And secondary at every level, defensive line, linebacker, and in the secondary. So I think he just wants to get with a team where he knows they got a real future to go deep into the playoffs. And then you just don't know. You never know what's going to happen. If you can get in, you saw the Rams a couple of years ago with Goff there. He was a young player, but got to the Super Bowl. And so I think he just, he really wanted a chance to play for somebody where he could really make a difference and try to get to the big game. It's all about getting to the big game once you've established yourself as a player. And that's why we go back and talk about the big market versus small market stuff. It's a lot of the big market opportunities are there for, winning the big game. And it's hard to sustain that when you're a small market team. And Detroit hasn't won a lot lately or really ever. So
Detroit never wins. What are you talking about?
Really never.
Unluckiest
So
team in
it's
sports.
very difficult for them to, that's why Calvin Johnson, Megatron, left there, because it felt like he was giving it his all, but he really didn't have the players around him. They couldn't stop anybody in Detroit.
Barry Sanders left early.
Yeah, he quit early. He said he quit because they weren't going to rebuild. He wasn't going to be around. It's like OJ. OJ didn't want to be around for a third rebuilding. That's why he left the 49ers. He said, forget about it. Or the Bills, I'm sorry, and went to San Francisco.
He went to San Francisco. They went 2-14 when he was there, so he didn't like it there either.
Yeah, he did, because the weather was so much better. But, Josh, I heard what you said, but let me ask you this. For Stafford winning a Super Bowl, chasing that may be the dream because he has the money. What about Russell Wilson? He's already been to the Super Bowl multiple times. He's already been the MVP. He's already got a trophy. What's his excuse? Why does he want to leave Seattle so bad? I think it's because of money.
I don't know. I think it's, partly, it might partly be that, but I think it's offensive line, to be honest with you.
Agree.
He wasn't protected. He's running for his life. He's having to make plays, really every series out there on the field. And, it's like we saw Tom Brady 2 years ago in New England. No receivers, no offensive line, a lot of injuries there, but they weren't able to move the football. You see him go to a place like Tampa, and they solidified their offensive line. They got some weapons. They got Fournette, early in the season, and things just kind of came together. I mean, you're only as good as the people around you, and I think that's what he's thinking is, I'm a Super Bowl quarterback. I've been there, done that. I know he loves Pete Carroll. I know he loved, the 12th man and what they have as an organization. But if you're not going to have an offensive line for yourself for the next 3 to 5 years, it's like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And he's like, I got some good years left. That's what Stafford's saying. Same thing is I want to put myself in the best situation. If they're not willing, he's probably trying to call their bluff a little bit too, to be honest with you. If they're not willing to go out and get great offensive linemen and weapons around him, DK Metcalf is a stud. They need a run game to go with some of the things they do offensively in the air and some offensive linemen, and they'll be fine. I mean, I just don't think now with Dak, he said Chicago, he said Dallas. I don't know, maybe the other team, San Francisco. I don't know the teams that he mentioned other than a couple of those. But I think if you're Seattle, you cannot let that guy go. We've talked about that, me and my brother, the last couple of weeks. Is like, how would you ever let a guy like that go? He's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. You might not see a guy like that for the next 20 years come into your locker room. You can't let that guy go. You got to go out and find a way to keep him happy, get a couple of offensive linemen, and a run game going so that it takes some pressure off him and makes him want to be a Seahawk. That's for sure. That's what I would do.
John wants to see him go. He wants to see him go out of that NFC West, right, John?
I want him out of the NFC West because, look, Russell
Niners.
Wilson, he definitely is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And look, they've put 0 offensive linemen around him, just like you mentioned, Josh. They have great receivers, but you talk about their running game. He is the running game. Russell Wilson is scrambling all over the place, and I get it. And he deserves to be able to have offensive linemen around him, especially as he's getting in the latter part of his career. He doesn't want to be running all over the place. But I just don't see him going anywhere. I think that would be way too much of a blow to the 12 fans, the city of Seattle, the organization. And besides, if you're going to get rid of somebody, you better have somebody ready to take his place. And they have nobody in Seattle that can step up and spell Russell Wilson.
Exactly. We saw a lot of his games last year. I watched him close because he's so fun to watch. He's like Houdini on the field, but he's having to make these amazing plays, and they're in 3rd and long a lot. And when you're behind the chains down and distance-wise, and I don't care if you're in high school, college, pro, pee-wee football, it doesn't matter. If you're in 3rd and long and you're having to do everything yourself, sooner or later the game is going to bite you in the butt, as a quarterback. And so you've got to have a run game. You've got to establish that. We've seen that. All great teams have balance, right? And they can run the football when they need to. The screen game's nice. They've got a couple of wideouts. They've got great tight ends. They've got a great scheme. Good offensive coordinator. I think those are the teams that always do the best. And Russell can only do so much. I mean, even though he's Superman and, like I said, Houdini, at the end of the day, he's going to have to bail you out so many times. Over time, it's not going to happen at the end of games, especially deep in the season and the playoffs, because you just can't do it. You can't do it like that. You've got to be able to, create balance and be special on offense to win it all. And I think Russell's got his eye on the big prize, winning it all. He don't want to go back and be a 6-10 guy or an 8-8 guy or a 4-12 guy. He don't want to be that guy. He wants to be in the mix every year with a great, solid offensive line so he can produce it and do the things that he does well, and the team can succeed that way.
Well, let's not forget, Josh, when they were winning all those games, they had the Legion of Boom.
Yep.
They were playing lights-out defense. And look, that defense has just been gone for several years. And now you're starting to see when salaries have to be paid out, you can't keep everybody. And look, there's so many teams that are salary cap strapped. You were speaking about the Rams a moment ago. And look, in theory, Matt Stafford landing there should be an automatic upgrade. Great quarterback goes to a team with a great defense. But the Los Angeles Rams are $30 million over the salary cap as of today. So all those pieces are not going to be around Matthew Stafford. We just haven't seen the fallout of that salary cap yet.
Salary cap's fake.
That's a big part.
Go ahead, Josh.
Rich, go ahead. It's a big deal.
I'll tell you. I think the salary cap is fake. The only body that gets a raise when there's a salary cap is the owners. When the owners tell you they can't afford it anymore because of the salary cap, it's just a BS excuse. The owners want to make more money, so they create this cap. It's fake. The market will tell you when enough is enough. That's what I always believed. So the market will tell you.
It's like Shaq said. He goes, we're rich, but the owners are wealthy.
That's right.
That's the truth. I mean, the owners are wealthy. We're rich, but the owners are wealthy. And that's the truth. I mean, if they're paying Mike Trout that, I mean, what is the owner making? And I love the ownership for the Angels, but think about what they're able to do, if we're seeing salaries like what Mahomes is getting, what Trout's getting. I mean, these salaries are way up there, right? And so some of these big market teams can handle it, but the salary cap, I saw it went up a little bit for next year, which is huge for the sport of football in the NFL. But it's still like a team like the Rams. You've got to be able to really take a close look at that, because you're going to lose some of those pieces, and you're going to have to rely on some of the younger guys and develop some of the younger guys. So I mean, that's what makes pro sports so amazing, man. Year in, year out, there's always something different. Your team is always different. Not 2 years are the same. Your schedule's different. They schedule harder teams for better teams, and so it's a harder road to come back and defend the championship. And that's why it's hard to do. When you see teams make runs for decades, like the Patriots did, then you got to tip your cap and go, "What a heck of a job that entire franchise did." For a decade or more, really 15, 20 years, to put themselves in a position to win week in, week out, and throw a great product on the field. It's just so tough.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because you're talking about the New England Patriots. I mean, I think Tom Brady has gone to the Super Bowl every other year in his career, if you average it out. I mean, he's been there 10 times.
Jerry Buss's Lakers, same thing.
Look, Tom Brady has never had fantastic receivers around him. Tom Brady has also never made the most money. Tom Brady has taken less money to be able to put pieces around him. That's why that team has been so great. All these other teams, once they pay out those big contracts to those quarterbacks, there's just nothing left. That's why those windows are so small, and you have to take your hat off to the front office people, the guys that are doing these contracts and making sure that, hey, this won't go against the cap this year, this will go next year, but there's so much that goes into putting a winning team on the field. It starts in the front office.
It really does, from the top down. And when you have great people, even the scouting department, and bringing good people in to know that, what they expect success. They know who they're going to play for too, because a guy like Belichick, there's no BS, right? So you show up and go, you know what, I've got to get in line, right? And then you got a guy like Tom Brady, who was a proven winner. And once you win for a year or two, you kind of set a precedence, right? And so everybody wants to play with a guy like that. They always had great defenses. Josh McDaniels of the offense, they had Charlie Weiss back in the day. They always had good offenses and moved the football and stayed balanced and played tough. And it's hard to go up there and win. And so that you create a culture, right? And you create that balance we talked about. And football is so important. In other sports, it's pitching, defense, and hitting. In football, it's special teams, defense, and then running the football and throwing the football and staying balanced, because they could come out and you would think that they would throw the football and they'd run 7 times in a row, or you'd think that they would come and establish the run and they would throw 7 times in a row. They were so unpredictable, and I don't know what they're doing from an analytics standpoint, but Brady was just phenomenal in handling every situation and using his brain and giving them a real chance to win over the years. But you're right, John. I mean, front office is so important. Looking at the salary caps, understanding who you can let go. I mean, they've let go guys in the past where you go, dude, there's no way they're going to fill that gap. And then the next thing you know, a corner comes in that's all pro, or a safety comes in and does the job, or another linebacker, or defensive end, or whatever. It's just like there isn't one position that the Patriots hadn't been able to reload on when you thought, wow, that there's just no way. But you got to give it to coaching and scouting on how they've developed all these players through the years. And
yeah, plus
it was a special place. It was a special place.
Plus those good film sessions, filming the sidelines of the other teams.
Deflating footballs. We know all about that.
We know all about that.
Hey,
you
Josh,
know we're going to give you everybody a bad time.
Always got something to say.
Of course. Come on.
You always got something to say about my Patriots.
I know.
now there is Patriots. What about your Buccaneers? I'm sure they're yours too.
Yeah, now wait. I want to talk about that now. You know how I feel about Tom Brady and the Patriots, but I'll tell you what, I've never rooted for a guy more this year than I have my good buddy Tom Brady. Sticking it
on the Brady bandwagon,
sticking it to the woke crowd. I mean, I just loved it.
Over there.
I just loved it this year. Talk about that, because I thought Tom Brady was going to just sink into the abyss. I just figured that, the Patriots had all the launch codes for everybody so they can make it easier on their QB. He was going to Tampa, the losingest franchise in the history of sports, and the dude turns around and wins a Super Bowl. What do you think about that when you're looking back at everything and Tom Brady's role in this in particular?
Bruce Arians, I played for Bruce Arians, the head football coach there for 3 years. in Cleveland. I was a backup there behind Tim Couch. We were talking about him off the air, but Bruce Arians is a real pro like coach. I mean, he actually recruited me in Mississippi State back when I was in high school, and I can remember him as soon as I walked into the office there with Jackie Sherrill, and he introduced me to Bruce Arians at Mississippi State when I was getting recruited. Bruce was on the board drawing up plays, and it was like he had this whole recipe for what he wanted to do offensively, and he was trying to interject it into my system. And I was a high school kid. He was talking about this and that and why we do this and why we're going, trips and spread and all this stuff. This is back in the 90s. And I was just really enamored with him. And then when I was with him in Cleveland, he found ways to get guys open, and we played above our heads. We didn't have any Pro Bowlers on our team, but yet we made the playoffs one year in 2002, and until this year, Cleveland, that was the last time they'd made the playoffs. Bruce Arians had gone to Pittsburgh and done some amazing things with Roethlisberger, coaching the offense there in Pittsburgh, and then of course in Arizona with Carson Palmer, he'd had a lot of success. So he was a kind of a quarterback whisperer. He knew if he could get Tom Brady, and they said this in the press conference right after the game. He goes, "If I knew if I could get that one guy I could hang my hat on, then all the rest would kind of come into play." And he really believed it. He felt like if he got Tom Brady, then everybody else would go, "Okay, this guy's proven winner. They're gonna kind of get in line." And we talk about getting in line. That means show up every practice knowing that they demand every little thing. They're going to demand more from you. It's like in walkthroughs in the NFL. Some teams walk through, they lollygag, it's like they're pissing in the wind. And then you got some teams that really pay attention to the little bitty things. That's what the Patriots did. Tom took that to Tampa, and they go, "We walk through longer than we practice," and not many teams do that. Not many people know that, and so they stay on that field and walk through in the mornings before they even eat lunch or watch film. They get after it in the walkthrough, and there's no stone unturned. And then you add a guy like AB who wants to come in and play. You get a guy like Fournette, that's out there in the open. Jacksonville released him. They grab him. I mean, and then a guy like Gronkowski comes out of retirement before even those two guys showed up. And okay, these guys want to play for him, and they give everything that they got. And then that defense is so good. It's just a perfect storm for Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, and everybody believed. And really, the second half of the year, there was nobody that really could touch them. I mean, they were 7-5, and would they win 8 in a row? So I mean, they ran off it was an awesome run. Offensively, they went into Lambeau. They went into New Orleans and beat the Saints and Breeze.
They beat them bad too.
The last loss of his career, the last game of his career. Then they went up to Lambeau, and he got Aaron Rodgers. They got so far ahead, Aaron Rodgers couldn't catch up, because they dominated the first half, and they knew they had to go in there and make a real strong statement, or Aaron Rodgers can really rip you apart.
He almost brought him back.
Yeah, he almost brought him back. They almost didn't win that game. And so I think, he knew how important it is. He knows how to prepare. He doesn't get flustered in the early going of playoff games because he's been there so much. He's on fire right when he shows up to the stadium.
To say the least.
I mean, you can see when he runs into the stadium and he's coming out with his team, and he's fired up in the end zone. I mean, you can tell this guy's 43, but it's like he's a rookie and he's trying to prove himself for the first time. And then, so he beats Breeze in New Orleans, which is beat him twice. They were the first team to ever beat Brady twice in division games in the same season in the history of Brady's career. Then he goes up and exposes Rodgers, really, and the Green Bay Packers. Not Rodgers, exposed the Packers defense and what they did. That fourth down, or that throw right before into the first half was so big to Miller, the deep ball that really put them ahead 10 points before half. And then in the Super Bowl, they came out rocking and rolling. And who would have thought Kansas City would only put up 3 field goals in a Super Bowl game? They totally dominated that game. So he just took the bull by the horns, man. It was fun to watch for me because I like Bruce Arians so much, and I followed Brady and Gronk for so long.
Hey, Josh, since you're tight with Bruce Arians, does he jumpstart cars after the games? What is he wearing around his? He's the only coach that's wearing like a defibrillator out on the field. Why is he wearing a battery pack? Can you please make sense of that? What is that?
I don't know. You know what? Most of those guys,
I don't know.
They put the battery pack for the cable, for all the cords and the technology in the back of their
pocket or on their back, and I think he doesn't want to have to step on all that stuff, to be honest with you, because he roams the sideline. So I think he wears all this technology in the front of his chest because he does not want to like it to get in his way. It bothers him, you know. So I think that's probably why it looks like he's RoboCop in terms of what he's wearing up front here, because I think he just doesn't want to have all those cords and all that stuff hanging from his legs. You know, you watch coaches.
There it is.
That's exactly what it is. That's awesome, dude. I love it. He's just a fiery competitor, man. All he cares about is winning. He's kind of like the old Al Davis kind of guy. He's a football guy. He's like a John Gruden in terms of just spunk. And he will get on your butt if you're not performing. You saw him in press conferences a few games early. Brady let us down, a couple bad reads, threw picks. He shouldn't have thrown that ball.
Lost his audio.
Anyways, he'll tell it like it is, and I think Brady appreciated that, and the team appreciated it because he treated Brady like everybody else, and he knows Brady's the key to the kingdom. But at the same time, you got to play football and show up every Sunday, and you know he's just still an old ball coach. He coached for Bear Bryant and played for Bear Bryant, so not a lot of people know that about him, that he's a Bear Bryant disciple, and I think that's maybe. He brings some of that to the table, and you know, the NFL doesn't have a whole lot of that left. You know, any of that Bear Bryant stuff influence, there's not a whole lot hanging around the NFL anymore, but BA is one of them.
Well, Bruce, you know, Bear Bryant turned 130 this week if he would still be alive. So, and Bruce Arians is the oldest coach in the NFL to win a Super Bowl, which is quite a compliment to him.
Yep.
You know.
Hey, Josh, since we're talking about the NFL, we're talking about quarterbacks. We've already talked about Brady. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson, because, you know, that's a big name out there. That's an up-and-coming star. He's already proven that he can play in this league. You know, this is a guy that's in a bad situation. He wants out. How do you see this translating?
Man, if I'm, you know,
Canada.
I'm a Louisiana boy. If I'm Sean Payton, I go get him. I go get him in New Orleans. I mean, that's just something that I think I would try to do. You know, with J.J. Watt leaving Houston, I mean, there's just not a whole lot there. They lost their DeAndre Hopkins last year in the offseason, and Bill O'Brien, I thought one of his worst mistakes ever. That guy's a real difference maker. I mean, when you have DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt, and Watson on the same team, you got three perennial Pro Bowlers. It's hard to beat a team like that consistently. I mean, you give yourself a real chance to win. I don't know, man. I'm thinking the same thing. He's kind of like Russell Wilson. He's at the point where, you know, you see these guys go out the door, you're like, you know, I think I could take my talent somewhere else where I could be more effective and play with, you know, with a team and an ownership group that really wants to bring in superstars and keep them. And that's just not what Houston's done the last few years. And you would think, because Houston is a big market, that they would keep some of those guys. But I think Deshaun Watson would do really good in Sean Payton's offense. I kind of would love to see that, but I don't know if it'd ever happen.
How about between he and Russell Westbrook? Russell Wilson.
I like it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, there's more upside to Deshaun Watson because he's only 24 years old.
Yeah,
so.
but Russell Wilson's he's proven. He's proven.
I like both those guys. I think they both are excellent players. I think Russell Wilson has done more in his career. There's no doubt, because he's played in more playoff games. He's probably a little bit more refined. You know, he has better escapability in mind. He can run better, I think. But I think Deshaun Watson is a super duper talent in the league. I'd say he's a top 8 guy. I think Russell's a top 4 guy.
And that's another guy that's never had an offensive line around him. He just gets pummeled year after year after year. So that's a guy, you know, either guy, Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, you send those guys anywhere and they're going to turn a franchise around. No doubt about it. They're that good.
I agree. I think that's the most important position in all of sports as a quarterback. When you get a top 10 guy, you have got to put pieces around him and give yourself a chance to win. I mean, if I'm an owner or GM or the head of scouting or the head coach, and you got to go get pieces around him. You don't let DeAndre Hopkins out the door. He's a top 3 receiver in the league. J.J. Watt is always one of the top defenders in the league. You see those guys disgruntled. It's like something ain't right. But Bill O'Brien, O'Brien had a bad run there, man, and it really hurt that franchise. I don't know what they're going to do to recoup, but they're gonna have to do it because they're fixing to lose. They've lost a lot, and if they lose Watson, they're going to really lose a lot because that guy's got a huge, bright future, and he could go anywhere and perform at a very high level, especially if you've got guys around him. He could take a team to the Super Bowl.
One more question before we change gears and talk about what's going on with you lately. Mahomes, I kept telling these guys, you know, and it's not that John and Bob and everybody else was going overboard on Mahomes, but I kept telling them, you know what? The media does this to everybody. Vince Young was going to be the next coming of Joe Namath. Vince Young didn't come clear to Namath. You know, they talked, and now you have, let's just get on to Mahomes now because we've already had, who was the other guy was with the Panthers, John?
Cam Newton?
Newton in that Super Bowl when he wouldn't go for that fumble, man. You know, I think 99% of the quarterbacks that really want it would have jumped on that ball. They don't care what the price would have been. They would have taken a concussion to get that fumble.
What does that have to do with Mahomes?
What I'm trying to talk about is the media talked up Newton prior to that. Is this guy's going to win 50 Super Bowls, all right? So now Mahomes is the latest and the greatest addition of this group. And I kept telling these guys, I don't see it. I mean, I know he's got a great offense around him. Kansas City's really quick, but I don't think he's going to be the greatest of all time. Now that he's finally slipped off the perch a little bit, he looked pretty mortal, like the rest of the league does when they don't have protection up front. He just seems to me just above an ordinary quarterback. And when I say ordinary, I'm talking about of the elite 10. He's in the pack with them. Is he better than Aaron Rodgers? Is he better than Tom Brady? I don't think he's there yet.
Well, Brady put a big gap between being the greatest of all time. When he won this one, you're talking about going from 6 Super Bowl wins to 2 with Mahomes if he would have won that to 7-1. And Mahomes has got 1, Brady's got 7. So he's leap years now ahead of Mahomes. He'd have to win, 7 more in the next, 15 years if he was lucky enough to play that long. And that would be one of the greatest feats of all time and one of the greatest runs of all time, Brady-esque runs. And, it's hard in Kansas City to do that because they eat, sleep, and breathe football. But, the 2 left tackles being out was big in that loss. But there was nobody that was going to beat that Tampa Bay team because they were so well prepared. That defense was better than Kansas City's defense, and that offense was clicking on all cylinders. I think Mahomes is a special talent. He's really the first guy that I've seen that is able to be fearless in the pocket, launch balls downfield with hardly any effort, and move around, throw at different angles like he's a shortstop. I mean, we've seen guys do amazing things, but some of those plays he made in the Super Bowl, even with some of the incompletions when he was getting rushed and he was running around, were just like unbelievable. So I don't think by any means that he is not one of the greatest that we've ever seen. I mean, he's Elway, and he has that Elway kind of flair to him and Favre flair to him. And Elway and Favre, 2 of the best talents we've ever seen, but not, they're not on Montana and Brady's level when it comes to winning. People leave out Terry Bradshaw too. He had, he won 4 Super Bowls.
4-0, baby.
Yes, he did.
Undefeated.
Yeah, baby. I mean, 4-0.
And Montana never turned it over in the Super Bowl.
When you talk about ultimate winners, I mean, you look at some of the positions he throws from. I mean, that is shortstop-esque, double play ball, backhand, coming up, throwing it to second base. I mean, he is a glorified shortstop. Cal Ripken, Ozzie Smith, Omar Vizquel playing football. And if you go and see some of his stuff on YouTube, some of his workouts, I mean, he's throwing from all different angles. He really knows how to use his core and his hips, and the ball flies out of his hand. So he's able to control the football just like a shortstop would be. Ozzie Smith would be to throw to first base across the diamond exactly where he wants.
Well, John, in a way, what I'm trying to convey is we've seen this before, John. Russell Wilson came in, was a youngster, kicked ass, got in a couple of Super Bowls, and now he hasn't been back, all right? He's still elite quarterback, but he hasn't been back. Cam Newton's another one that got there early in his career, hasn't been back. I mean, I can go down the list of these quarterbacks, John, that come into the league, they succeed young, and then they just disappear. Look at Danny Marino, another one.
Again, you have to look at the salary cap situation that surrounds these quarterbacks. We've been talking about this all show. You got a guy that comes in right away. Russell Wilson was a great quarterback right out of the gate. They had money. They had the Legion of Boom. When it comes time for a new contract, all that money goes to the quarterback, and then there's not enough money to filter out to the other players on the team. So again, so much of this spins back to the front office. Rich.
I think the media puts so much pressure on these young quarterbacks when they come in, when they do have success at a young age. I just think the pressure is enormous for them to compete. Everybody was saying Mahomes is going to wipe the floor with Tom Brady. Spread was 3.5. And it didn't pan out. I just think, again, there's a lot of pressure put on these young guys to succeed. And some of them can handle it and some of them don't. As far as anybody running the table, all these new prodigies that have come into the league since the Bradshaw era, let's put it since Montana, because it was Bradshaw in the 70s, Montana in the 80s. And so all these new guys that come in, but nobody's been able to have that kind of sustainability other than Tom Brady. And, you know, there's a number of reasons why Tom Brady was so successful. But after this big victory going to Tampa, John, that just showed me that Tom Brady's the real deal. He's a real leader, man. This guy is crazy about winning. He's so damn competitive. There's Josh.
Look, and Josh said it perfectly before he took off on us there for a few minutes.
There he is.
Look.
Sorry.
When they were going into this Super Bowl, just like Josh said, it was an opportunity for, if Mahomes wins, now the score is 6-2. That's a gap that you might be able to reach if all the stars align properly.
He ain't going to reach that.
But when now the gap is 7-1, and that's like light years apart.
Insurmountable.
Look, this goes back to what I just said a moment ago. It's about the front office. We know Mahomes is good. Now, what does the front office do to keep these pieces around him? How do they prolong Mahomes with good players around him? It's up to the front office and what they do with that salary cap.
Josh, what we're saying when you had to take a break there is, you know, we've seen the pressure. The pressure, I think, on Mahomes was great, you know, simply because he was supposed to win the game. He was supposed to win the game. And then you're facing Tom Brady, one of the wiliest quarterbacks, one of the smartest guys in pro football today, can pretty much be a GM and a coach and a player all at the same time. It just seemed to me like, you know, Brady did put up more than 30 points in the ball game. Mahomes only put up 9. I hear all about the line. I don't want to hear about that. Great quarterbacks improvise. Look at Joe Namath. When Joe Namath set the NFL on fire when they defeated the Colts, they didn't have Don Maynard. Don Maynard was his number one guy. Don Maynard was the reason Joe Namath was so successful as a quarterback. He was one of the best receivers in the league. Going into that Super Bowl against the Colts, where they were underdog by 17 points, didn't matter to Joe. They improvised. They changed. They ran the ball instead of throwing it. Caught Baltimore off guard. They couldn't overcome it. The game was over. So I just think there was too much pressure on Mahomes. Like I was saying, Josh, Bradshaw handled it very well in the 70s. Montana handled it in the 80s. We've had a plethora of young quarterbacks come into the league since then. And I'm just tired of hearing about this guy's the next Joe Namath. This guy's the next Terry Bradshaw, you know, because they're not out there. Like I said, Newton, you can keep going. You know, we're talking about Mahomes now. There's a few others out there that we've talked about that they were supposed to be the next big thing, and the media's all over them, and what happens? Nothing. You can even go back as far as Dan Marino, going to his rookie year, sophomore year, getting to the Super Bowl, and never got a sniff again.
It's so hard to win in the NFL. We've seen guys come out of college football like Matt Leinart, like Joe Burrow, like Tim Tebow, like Cam Newton, like. I mean, you could go down the whole thing. Kids emerge when they get to the NFL. There's only one player that's ever won a Heisman Trophy and in the NFL Hall of Fame that's played at the quarterback position. One guy, and that's Roger Staubach. And so if you really look at the history of college football and you take it to the NFL, it's a completely different game, first of all. College game's a completely different game. There's a lot of teams that have a whole lot more talent than most teams out there. When you look at Alabama and Florida and Ohio State and USC over the years and LSU recently and Georgia and Clemson, Notre Dame through the years, I mean, those are the teams that stack and stockpile. Spurrier always had better players on his team than the teams they were playing. Saban's always got better players on his team than who are playing. So you're dealing with, when you have to go play Alabama, at the end of the day, you're like, man, we got work, but they've got 7 first-rounders on the team. Mac Jones, a great quarterback.
They're pros.
Najee Harris, he's driving a Ferrari,
It's an NFL roster.
An NFL roster. No
It's funny.
So when you go to the NFL, it starts all over, and it's even Steven. It's fair game, right?
Yep.
And so it's a whole different ball game, and that's why Roger Staubach, he can say he's the greatest quarterback of all time because he won a Heisman and he has a gold jacket. No one else can say that.
Rich thinks he can, though.
Yeah. There's only one receiver that's ever done it too, and who is it, Rich? Tim Brown.
Yep, Tim Brown. Matter of fact, I'm supposed to race Tim Brown and Ron Brown, the 2 Browns.
Yeah,
but Ron said he'd give me a 30-yard head start in the 40, so I think I could beat him.
Yeah, I was with Ron Brown a couple weeks ago. He was definitely making fun of you, Rich. Just so
He was making fun of me because we had that bet. We're supposed to go in the parking lot. What's that restaurant, John?
I don't know. Well, whatever.
We had it down.
Hey, we got to.
We want to change
about
gears.
some personal stuff.
Yeah, let's get down here. First of all, real quick, Josh Moody, one of the most interesting guys in sports. First of all, he was a high school stud. When he graduated from high school from Evangel Christian, Louisiana, Shreveport, he was the all-time leading passer in high school sports forever. I mean, nobody had thrown for as many yards as Josh Moody, so he leaves there. I don't know how the hell he got on the Marlins and won a World Series, but he was a third baseman with the Marlins, and the guy wins a World Series. Just incredible. And then he leaves there, says, I'm done with baseball. I've already hit the pinnacle. I'm out. I want to play football. Goes to Louisiana. You played for Nick Saban, right?
Yes, sir.
He played for friggin' Saban, that rat bastard. So he plays for Saban, who's now just a god in college football, and then ends up in the NFL and gets to just have a good look at your dream. I mean, it was your dream, man. You really hit it when Bo Jackson was hitting it, and Deion Sanders, whatever. They were trying to do the 2-sport thing. You were doing it as well.
They were just copying Josh.
And they were just copying Booty. Yeah.
Man, I saw a picture that actually, when I was in high school, I was featured in Sports Illustrated, and someone sent me this picture this week, but I had posters of Deion and Bo behind me.
Oh my God, are you serious?
And so these guys were my childhood heroes, and this was when I was in high school, when I broke the record. And they're both their poses. I'll have to send y'all this because I've got pictures of McGuire and Will Clark and Canseco. Those were all my heroes. Don Mattingly.
Wow.
Donnie Baseball. But I always wanted to be a 2-sport guy. My dad was a football coach, but I always loved baseball growing up. So ended up being able to do both. I kind of wish I'd only done one. But at the end of the day, man.
We're sorry, Josh.
They've done 2. And anyways, I enjoyed it. But
it's crazy, man.
I'm a football guy. That's really what I like. I can watch football all day, every day. Baseball, not so much till the playoffs. But
right.
I love all sports. I'm a gym rat.
Well, I would like that, Josh. There's so many facets to your career. I mean, we can go all day on it, but let's talk about your entrepreneurial stuff now. You and I believe it's Johnny Damon. John, have I got this right?
Every time I see Josh on his app, he's with somebody else doing a challenge. He's been with everybody, but we want to know about Bula. This seems to be like something that's going to sweep the nation. We know it's launching April 14th. There it is. Bula. We want to hear all about this, man. The social challenge app. And not to mention, but I think Rich and I should probably challenge each other to something before the show is over.
Well, I don't know about before the show's over. I got to get something good if I'm doing this.
Talk to us about this,
something
Josh.
Something lethal, John.
I bet y'all challenge each other every day and don't even know it. I threw the knuckleball in the next knuckler of the reality show, and I'd like to challenge both of you guys to a Bula on who can hit my knuckleball the farthest.
Oh, I'm in. I'm in all day long for that.
I'm going to use a fungo bat, okay? I need to get a double fungo.
That means you have to come out to California and visit us, though.
Yeah, I'm going to have to come back out to Newport Beach, baby. Visit the homestead.
We're in. I accept that challenge all day long.
He sucks. I'm going to smack the hell out of that ball.
I accept that challenge. Rich, you accept that challenge?
Yeah, I'm going to strike out like a big dog, but I'm still going to kill that
I'm
ball.
in. I accept it, Josh. What do we have to do?
A knuckleball is a bitch, and you know that, John.
So I'm going to give you guys both 3 at-bats, And we got to get a catcher out there, and I'm gonna throw knuckles.
We'll get Gibson to catch.
Whoever can hit it in the field of play the furthest in 3 at bats. Now we'll go strikes and balls. If you strike out, if you pop up, whatever. But we're gonna see who can hit it the furthest. We're gonna give you guys both 3 at bats. So that's the first Bula challenge we're gonna do with both of you guys. But I'll bring you guys a 34-inch bat, and I'll let
Wiffle
you
ball.
No, I'm gonna make you hit with wood, big league wood.
Okay, that's good.
Maybe Bob Gibson will go get one of Mike Trout's bats.
Rich's bat's quartz.
Hey, and you got to make Kevin Millar catch until to work off some of that World Series.
Yeah, he owes you a ring.
He owes you a
Let's
ring,
not
baby.
forget about that ring.
That's another story we're going to talk about. Not now, but that's
He's
another
got
story.
2 rings. You need to at least get one of those. So
yeah.
Explain Bula. So this is an app that you download and you start challenging. Give us the nuts and bolts. It's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking. I appreciate it. We're pretty excited about it. Launch in April. So we wanted to do a social media app where we can memorialize a challenge, a dare, or a wager in about 15 seconds. So whether you're betting on Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl before the game, or you're challenging your daughter to score soccer goals, or it could be a board game, it could be losing weight, it could be a run challenge, it could be a karaoke challenge, it could be anything you could imagine. You can memorialize a challenge on this app, and then you can talk trash. Everybody can see it. So it's a call to action social media app, which has never been done before. And so we're pretty excited about it. There's a corporate and charity functionality that'll be incorporated into it. There's going to be a wallet. It's on the blockchain with crypto and tokenization. So from a fintech standpoint, it's awesome, but it's a social media app. We want everybody to get on there, invite their friends, and then start challenging people for, golf rounds, or maybe you're playing darts or pool or ping pong. It doesn't even matter. It could be a chili cook-off.
Yeah.
But we think it's going to get pretty fun when you see what people will challenge people for, and then try to create content around that. Like the Dude Perfect guys or the Jackass guys, they're always trying to do something fun. But when you start challenge somebody to do it, then it gets really fun, and then everybody can see it. So say I wanted to challenge say I don't have a daughter, but if I had a daughter to score, every time she scored a goal in soccer, I'd give her $20. Well, I could bring in all my friends. Well, now maybe her uncle and aunt might go, well, you know what? I'm going to challenge her another $10. So it's a way for them to actually benefit from it. And then they can show their goals, their soccer goals, or whatever they're doing. It could be a putt on 18 where you win all the money with your boys. You're smoking a cigar coming off the course as a champ. It could be just a fun, interactive app. We want to make life exciting. Everybody's everybody's competitive out there. Everybody that watches this show is a sports nut. They're competitive. So whatever it is, we want people to get on there, get fired up about challenging somebody at something. And, there's a winner and a loser. There's a judge in some cases. So it's going to be fun for everybody to get on this app. We're in beta launch. We're going to go real launch April 17th. So we're right around the corner. We're pretty fired up about it. We got some great influencers. We're going to do some charity stuff with Big Poppy and Shaq. We did land Kevin Millar as a partner, and we got some great guys, some great stuff that we're going to do. So we're going to have fun with it.
Well, I know one thing is for sure. There's nothing more interesting than human nature. Nothing better than to throw a new widget out there into the public and see what they do with it. And so there you go. When it comes to social media, they're going to max it out. Bula, the social challenge app. And John, I'm going to take you up on that app, dude.
Here it is, bud.
I'm going to throw some curveballs, my brother, and some knuckleballs.
So Josh.
Some spitters, baby.
Josh, and unless you're going to send a pitching machine, you actually need to come out here. So we need to know when you're going to be here so we can go out to the park. Maybe we'll get Angel Stadium for the event. Whatever we need to do, come on out. Let's do this challenge because I'm ready. First of all, I'm ready to get a hit off of you, and I'm ready to beat Rich. So it's going to be a great day for me.
I'm sure Mike Trout could get us Anaheim Stadium.
We'll figure it out.
Let's do it, guys. I mean, even if we got to find a high school park or at Cal State Fullerton. I mean,
listen, Josh,
we got it covered.
BS. I'm swinging for the fences. I want to knock out a few lights of the scoreboard in one of these stadiums. I don't care if it's I'll jack it. I'll be Willie Stargell. You know how far he hit it at a Dodger Stadium.
That's a name from the past. Yeah.
Me and Wilbur, man, we're badass.
Rich is a dinosaur, so that stuff's going to happen. All right, one more time, Josh. We want to go to Bula. We download the app. iPhone, Android, download the Bula
Social challenge app, bitchin'.
Enter your email address, get signed up, and you can literally start challenging people tonight.
This would be something like you can do. This is like the ice bucket challenge, one of those other things where you can just challenge people. This is it, man. You make the bet and you go for it, man. See who can do it. And whoever doesn't do it drives Uber for a month and has to hand over that check, baby.
You know, this Moody guy is pretty smart, man. He might be onto something here with this Bula.
I like it, man. And you're involved with Johnny Damon on this project too?
I need y'all on my board is what I need.
Okay. That's what you do, yeah. No kidding. This guy's nuts.
Whatever we can do to help support you, hey, go to Bula, download the app.
Have a look.
Anything we can do for Josh. Josh, you're such a great guy, man, that we cannot wait to have you in studio with us.
Have you back in LA for a little bit.
But hey, before we run, you got a couple stud baseball player kids, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Let's hear about them, man. Let's brag about them for a minute.
We got 5 minutes. Take it away,
We got 5
baby.
minutes. We got 5 minutes.
Oh, he says 10. We got 10 minutes.
You can talk
That's why we
about
came up a couple
minutes.
minutes late, so we got a couple more minutes.
Good. That's right.
Go ahead, Josh. Sorry about that. John's rude.
I appreciate you guys asking this, especially. I mean, yeah, I have twin boys. They're 15. They're freshmen at Evangel Christian.
They're both 15?
Same place you went.
Twin boys, yep, they're both 15.
That was a joke, Josh. We're just
I know. And they play football, you know, quarterback and receiver. They both started varsity, and now they're playing right field and third base on the varsity team. And, man, they're doing good. One of them is leading the team in hitting as a freshman on the varsity team. He had 3 hits tonight. He's dynamite. And then the other one can play defense and pitch. So it's just fun to watch them, man. It's a lot of fun. But they are killing the sports in Louisiana, and I'm there often. So I go back and forth. I've got a nephew in Dallas and my kids in Shreveport, which is not too far. So, man, I'm there a lot watching games. So I'm one of those parents now that watch – get to watch a lot of sports, and it's really been more fun to watch them like it was watching my little brothers, like JD at USC played quarterback under Pete Carroll, and Abram played receiver at LSU. I mean, I had so much fun playing, but watching my brothers and my kids it's even better, man. So it's been a blessing. Yeah,
we didn't even have time to talk about the General today, but we'd love to have you back, Josh. I'm sure we will in the future. Used to be on our team back in the days when our name made 30. It's so glad to see you right now, hanging out, doing good, just tearing up the United States right now, man. This dude's everywhere.
Hey,
man.
he can update us on the General. We still got a minute.
Yeah, no, we still we got to close it out here, John. Look at this guy. Oh no, I'm sorry. I take it back. I take it back. Larry,
Josh, take my lead. Take my lead. Don't listen to Rich. We got plenty of time to talk about Bula. We got plenty of time to talk about Josh Booty. Now let's talk about General Booty for a minute. What's going on with him?
General, baby.
We know he left us in California, just like the rest of the Booty.
He should have
left us high and dry,
Everybody's getting out of California. Haven't you heard, John? We're next. Go ahead.
Oh, y'all come on down, brother. No, I eat some crawfish with me in Louisiana.
Those little mud bugs scare me, man.
Oh, my God, mud bugs.
Oh, come on, John. Get your face wet, brother. Let's go. You can't be scared of the crawdaddies. General was played at Allen High School this year, 6A in Texas, dynamite program. And he was all-state, which was awesome. He got a few smaller offers. He was a senior, but he's going to go play at Tyler Junior College, which is a wonderful football program in the South there in Tyler, Texas. But he really wants to go to a Texas, an LSU, a USC. He wants to go somewhere really big, and I think that he's willing to, go to JC for a year and get a lot of throws under his belt. That's his plan, man. He got some smaller offers, and I don't want to name the schools, but it wasn't Texas A&M, LSU. It wasn't the big ones, and so he said, "I'm going to go to JC for 1 year and try to ball out and see if I can get some real." Oh, there he is. That's his sophomore year at Cornerstone. Yep, he's a great kid, great player. He works hard. He played his freshman year at Corona Del Mar there in Orange County, so he was a California kid. And then they moved to Texas, and he ended up playing at Allen, where Kyler Murray played his high school career. So, best stadium in all of high school sports. They seat 26,000 people,
that's
$6 million stadium. It's incredible.
I couldn't believe they built that stadium for high school, Josh. That's incredible. I seen that stadium go up and then saw it when it was finally built, and then they couldn't occupy it because there was something wrong with the structure. So they had to go in there and break some stuff up and throw some more rebar in. But that is a nice, beautiful stadium. It's better than most college stadiums I've seen that aren't colossal like the Coliseum or where LSU plays and so forth and so on,
It reminded me a lot of like SMU.
Keep changing the
when
names.
You pull in there, you think you're at an SMU game,
Yeah.
When the band has 600 people in the band and they just rock. And it's like, wow, this is incredible. You feel like you're at a big time college football game. His experience was pretty amazing, but he's going places. I just can't wait to see where he's going to go.
And he's probably better off doing that route. I mean, I saw him when he was a sophomore year when he came in to play Paraclete up at College of the Canyons. That night it was a midweek game, it was like a Thursday night game. But he as a sophomore he looked every bit the part. Had a good arm, can throw deep. But don't get caught up in people coming after you. A lot of these kids go the JC route, and then the scholarships are just waiting for you after. I know Frank was over at Cerritos one year. I mean, he had 28 of his seniors go to Division I. He just gets them in. So a lot of times it's better to go those 2 years, tear it up, and then the offers just come pouring in. A lot of these schools want somebody that's already got some big-time experience rather than just take out of high school.
One thing to mention, too, is, and kids watch the show, I know, and parents do, too. And the Super Bowl, there were 6 5-star athlete recruits that were in the Super Bowl game. You would think there would be 40, right?
Right.
There were 6 in that entire 2 rosters of the Super Bowl teams with the Chiefs and Tampa and all those loaded, both those teams are loaded with talent. And so, he was a 3-star guy, and instead of going to play at a smaller school, he decided to go the JC route because we've talked about Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen, and Baker didn't have any scholarship offers. He had to go walk on, and he goes, I want to go play for a year. This is a wacky year with COVID, and then try to get somewhere, where I can really, where I really want to go, that I really fit in, and then go. So, I mean, everybody does it completely different. I was lucky. I was a 5-star guy. I wanted to go to LSU, and I had that opportunity, but not everybody. There's one quarterback that signs at USC, maybe 2 every year, 1 at LSU, 1 at Texas. And so, if you don't get exactly what you want, don't keep fighting for what you want, because it's right around the corner if you keep going and keep pressing. There's kids that when they're 19 and 20, they're the dynamics of their bodies change, and they become grown men. And like Aaron Rodgers and like Josh Allen, the truth be told, at the end is all that matters, and those guys dominate in pro football right now. So whether you're a 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, no star, 5-star, you still got to get to the next level and perform. You got to keep performing.
There's a ton of Super Bowl MVPs out there that all went to JC. Herb Welch was one of them for the New York Giants. Antonio Pierce, another Giant. That linebacker was all pro. He went to Mount San Antonio. I mean,
Saddleback College had a whole slew of NFL. I think Chris Long went through Saddleback College.
A lot of guys.
Ton of NFL guys went through Saddleback. So he's making the right choice, especially in an odd COVID year.
Yeah, I mean, this year was wacky. Tyreek Hill, went to Garden City. I mean, when he, when that pops up, you're like, Garden City Junior College, where is that? You haven't heard of this stuff.
Joyzy.
But when you're that fast, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, you can go anywhere and make it, man. It's just you've got to be able to perform when you get there. If you look at the 2 greatest winners in my book in football history, Brady was a 6th-rounder. Joe Montana was a 3rd-rounder. I mean, you don't have to be a 1st-rounder either when you're coming into the draft. And so, it helps, but it's not end-all, be-all. So,
Very
whether
true.
you're getting recruited heavy or you're not getting recruited, all you need is one team to fall in love with you. And then you go and be the best you can be and learn and play hard and be aggressive and play smart and do and really, sink your teeth into the system, because you've got to be able to learn and evolve as a player, because, everybody's wanting to take your job and everybody's going for the same thing, and there's only a few spots out there. It's just like the real world.
Like you said, there's only one Roger Staubach, one guy that was a blue chipper, Heisman Trophy winner, and has the yellow jacket, like Tom Flores is going to be wearing come this August. Hey, Josh, that's all the time we have. John, that's it, man. Larry's going to strangle us right now.
Hey, listen, Bula, download the app.
B-U-L-A.
The Bula app. Do it.
Thank
Rich
you.
and I challenge each other to hitting, knuckleballs from booty. Hey, Josh, we love having you on, man. We always do. You and your family are great people. Don't forget to give Jack some love for helping you out here with this app, right?
He's the man. I appreciate it, guys. We love y'all, and I can't wait to see y'all in person. And y'all get ready for the knuckleballer, because it's mean.
Keep your arm warm, buddy. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Don't be mad when I go yard, brother. Just don't be upset about it. All right?
Download that Bula app. We got to get out of here, Rich.
Yeah, we do.
Download the Bula app. Do
That's
it now.
All right. On behalf of John Conti, Josh Moody. Oh, was he in Florida?
He's somewhere,
He's
man.
in Florida, man. Yep, right on. All right. On behalf of those guys, I'm Rich Estrella saying so long, beautiful friends here at the Sports Corner. We'll see you next Thursday. Good night, everybody. Good night. Get out. Split. We're off to you.